great, man. I'm blessed. I'm doing well.
Trace, at the end of last year, you talked about the impact that Dan had and AG and just the coaching and how that kind of helped elevate your game being in this scheme. Just when you sat down and wanted to look at your future and decide where you were going to play, why was this place number one on the list? Was it because of the coaching staff and just how you played last year in this defense?
Definitely. The coaching staff played a very huge role in me coming back. Wanted to be back. My teammates as well. I just see where everything is going here. Me being here my first 3 years, and just kind of going through what I had went through. Seeing what these guys came in last year, the momentum that they brought with them, and the idea and the leadership that they brought, that made me want to stick around and be a part of it. So, like I said, I'm very blessed to have the coaching staff that I have and to be supported by the teammates and just being able to just be myself here. I love it and I embrace it and I enjoy it every day.
You kept very focused on the business elements of it during the season, football all season long. How much did you feel like you were going to be back here as you went through the offseason here? And I guess what is it like now knowing for sure that you've got some long-term security here?
Well, obviously going into free agency, there's always going to be some skepticism. There's always going to be a little bit of confusion as far as what can happen with the future. God had, like I said, I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed. God had a plan for me, and thank God that I'm back here. I was drafted here, and I was able to re-sign here. That's a big blessing for me because like I said, anything could have changed. I could have had somebody to come out of the blue and could have wanted to come get me, and like I said, I had people that were very interested, but at the end of the day, I just felt like this was home for me. Yeah, the whole offseason, it was pretty hectic, but at the end of the day, I had to make a wise family decision, business decision for me and my family, and I felt like Detroit was the best place for me to come back to. Just like I said, I feel like I have unfinished business here, and so I'm ready to continue to build on it.
Congrats on the deal again. But you guys re-signed a lot of the pieces from last year, so it's gonna be some criticism, based off the record and how you guys perform. Like bringing you guys back, how can you be better? What's your response to that? Like, what can you guys do to be a better unit with a lot of the key pieces coming back?
A lot of those guys that we re-signed, a lot of those guys were not even supposed to be in the NFL. A lot of those guys were not even supposed to be playing. And so a lot of those guys also developed last year because of the circumstance they were put under. So with that being said, they were allowed to get better, and they have improved, just like me. I was put in some circumstances where I had to improve, and that's just one thing about since I've been here and seeing this coaching staff come in, that it's all about development, like I said, I seen those same young guys that you're talking about. I seen them be developed and come back in and be better each and every week. So at the end of the day, that gives you confidence in itself, knowing that guys are coming in ready to work each and every day and coming in here to try to get better, and they are constantly improving. You can see improvement here, so that's the confidence that I have.
You said you have unfinished business here. What is the unfinished business that you hope to take care of in the next 2 years?
Well, I mean, we was 3-13-1, so I mean, hey, I don't think anybody would to go out that way. So, yeah, like I said, we ended off the end of the season on a positive note, and that's the unfinished business that I'm talking about. Like I said, everybody just always doubts the Lions, and I hate that. I hate seeing people always think that we're not accounted for, or better yet, not going to be a winning organization just because of past history. When each year, each team is different. So, and like this is a new team. It has a couple old pieces, but at the end of the day, it's not a lot of guys that's going to be coming back this year. So.
Were you nervous at all when AG was talking to teams about being a head coach that he might not be back for you?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I was nervous about a lot of things. AG, AP, it was a lot of things going on this offseason that I had to be accountable for. So, yeah, I took all that into account. And like I said, thank God I still have them here. So, like I said, my coaches definitely played a huge role in me wanting to come back and definitely play under them. So that's definitely why I definitely chose to come back,
AP mentioned
AP ain't want to really bite his tongue. He talked about this summer challenge you to get better.
Mm-hmm.
What type of challenges have you put on you to come back this year as well? Your conversation.
Honestly, just me continue to grow as a man, be a better leader. Like I said, I'm a leader, of course. I know how to lead. But at the end of the day, I was always taught this, to be a good chief, you got to learn how to be an Indian. So you got to learn how to follow. And like I said, I got a great group of men that I can follow behind who who's been in my position, who's been in my shoes, who know how to lead. And like I said, they're great coaches. Their resume speak for itself. And like I said, last year might not proven it, but I know what I have upstairs, and I know what I have in those guys. And so, like I said, as far as in me, that gives me all the confidence that I need. So, it's a blessing.
What's you were a third-round pick, and obviously you had a nice first 4 years. But what does it mean to the deal that you have, the security you have? You got a little one, for the family, for you just to have that peace of mind too.
Well, it's a blessing. I got to thank the man upstairs first. He put me in this position. He's carried me this far so long. And I'm very happy. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. I can't even sit here and hide my emotions right now because like I said, from me coming out, not playing football my entire life, starting off as a basketball guy, and literally just kind of just jumping on the roll and not even expecting that I was going to be playing in the NFL, and to me, had the success that I've had. Yeah, like I said, that's an eye-opener how true God is and how wonderful He is, And like I said, I'm very blessed. I have a lot of positive things going on in my life, and with my son, I was blessed with a beautiful wife. My support system is everything. Without them, I wouldn't be able to come up here, and I don't believe perform the way I do, or be the person that I am. They've made me who I am, and that's why I try to continue to just grow each and every day. Like I said, I'm blessed. I'm blessed in uncountable measures, man, and yeah, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be able to stand up here in front of you guys and be able to sit here and say, one of my dreams have came true. Like I said, everybody has that dream to make it to the NFL, but it's beyond that for me. I'm able to take care of my family in a different aspect, and so, I'm grateful.
I was asking Alex this yesterday. The difference between the first half and the second half of the season for the defense, what you saw in it, and maybe even on an individual level, just once you got familiar with your assignments, your role within the scheme. How did you see, I guess, the growth of you and the defense as a whole that second half?
Well, like I said, we were all young, and then we had a lot of injuries that we had to go through. It was a lot of young guys had to step up early. Whether it was with Jeff, you had Jerry, Bobby. I mean, not just in the secondary. I mean, because you had a lot of guys who really didn't get no starting action or nothing. They just had to come out and play, and for that to be put on your plate initially, just coming out straight out of college, that's very hard. Or better yet, just coming out straight early in your career, that's very, very difficult to try to overcome. And like I said, throughout the year, guys continue to get better each and every week because, it's only so much you're going to see each and every week in and week out, from each team. Everybody pretty much runs the same stuff. Everybody, players are different, but, for the most part, it's the same scheme, it's the same plays, I guess. So at the end of the day, as long as you continue to develop and learn from your mistakes and continue to grow, that's all you can ask for. Like I said, the foundation was very, very shaky, simply because we had a new coaching staff, new scheme, everybody trying to learn how to play with each other. It's a whole lot of new nuances that you have to deal with. So for those young guys to just come out and, like I said, continue to grow and develop, that's just the main thing, and that's what I saw from them. And I continue to see that each and every day. Even now, I see them when I watch some of their workout videos. Like some of the things I saw them that they might have had made mistakes last year on, or better yet, wasn't as clean as. Now I'm watching them, they clean as hell when they coming out their breaks or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So that's all it is. It's just growth. And as long as you continue with steady growth, hey, sky's the limit.
It's the other side of the ball, but your reaction to G.J. Shark coming here?
Hey, he's a hell of a player. I'm excited to play with him. Excited to meet him, and welcome to Detroit.
You played against the Jaguars, just to follow up on that. You played against the Jaguars 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think he had, just looking at it, he had 7 catches or something. He didn't have a lot of yards, but just remember how he threatens the defense or what he does to really.
Hey, he'll take the top off on you quick. He's a go-getter. He's a complete receiver. He's somebody you can line on the backside by himself, and he gonna make plays. So now the job for us is just give him the ball.
The team may target one of the top safeties in the draft. Do you feel like the team should add to the safety room? And what do you know about Kyle Hamilton as of now?
To answer your question, I feel like that's not for me to worry about. I'm just glad that I'm back, as one of the top safeties. And so, you know, Brad them, they got to do what they got to do, and I let them handle what they got to handle. I'm just glad to be back and ready to lead my guys, and whoever, if it's Kyle Hamilton, God, you know, God bless us with him, then, you know, hey, I have somebody else to play with. But I ain't too much worried about that, you know. I'm worried about the guys in my room right now that I have with me. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's how I look at it.
What's your off season been like? Just getting ready for what's coming.
Well, I definitely been trying to just take care of my body, enjoy my family. You know, and when I'm in season, I'm grinding so hard and I'm working so hard. I really don't get to spend time with my son and my wife. So this offseason, I just been kind of, like I said, in the process of trying to train, deal with this whole free agency process, just kind of enjoy them. Like I said, this is the only time you really get to see your family and enjoy them each and every day. Because when you're in the job, man, I'm gone from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. Then I'm studying. Don't really have time to see them and spend time with them. So that's just my main thing. I just kind of been enjoying this offseason with the fam. Just living life, staying out the way, staying out of trouble. How about that?
Like Eric said, you guys have a lot of pieces coming back. I'm sure there are more moves to be made, but just what gives you the most confidence that you guys will be in a significantly better defense?
My coaching staff. I believe it. I believe in these guys. Like I said, that had a huge role in me wanting to come back. I believe in everything these guys stand for and what they're all about. And we all on the same agenda. We all want to win. Like I said, I've been here 4 years. I'm tired of losing in Detroit, and the coaches feel the same. They tired of seeing Detroit being a laughing stock in the NFL. And so that's the confidence right there. You know, like I said, I see where things can be at, and we're only a couple plays away. That's been proven. So, yeah, I feel like I said, we're on the come up, man. I ain't gonna sit here and try to act like I'm a genie or anything, but you know, I'm very confident in what we're bringing this year. So, you know, now we just got to go out there, continue to build on it and put it together.
You just said you're sick of losing. You're no more than 6 wins, I think, in those 4 seasons. How do you stay hungry and not get beat down over time with something like that?
Well, I'm a competitor. I hate, like I said, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a sore loser at everything. So, if you beat me in hopscotch and I don't know how to jump rope, I'm still learning how to jump rope. I mean, you gotta pick your wins and losses, and in that situation, man, I ain't trying to lose at nothing. And so with me, I use this motivation as I'm tired of losing. So every offseason, I go and attack my workouts harder. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to just not be just a good player on myself, but I'm trying to be, like I said, the best man I could possibly be, and that's what I always try to focus on in my offseason. I always try to better myself, not just on the field, because if I better myself off the field, then naturally it'll just correlate to on the field, you know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, I control what I control and just try to be the best man that I can be.
I'm sure you heard, or your agents heard from teams that might have some interest in you. Was there any part of you that wanted to let this play out a little bit as, you know, free agency gets rolling here?
I feel like as far as with free agency, I didn't want to be too much a part of it because I kind of knew where my home was. Like I said, I had offers, I had people who wanted me, but at the end of the day, I know where home is, and this is home for me. So, and like I said, just everything about the coaching staff, you know, I want to be a part of this situation, and so that's what made me really, really want to come back. And that's why I'm here, you know.
In that regard, can you take us through like the TikTok of the last 24 hours, or how it all came about? I mean, yesterday morning, did you sort of know this was coming in that quick a fashion?
Yeah, well, we've been talking to Detroit, my agent anyway, and Brad. They've been communicating, and it's just, you know, he called me yesterday morning. It was like, T, you know, I got teams here. What you want to do? And I was just looking at him. I said, you know what? I think it's Detroit's where I'm going to be back at, you know. And I was like, he was like, you sure? And I was just like, yeah, we're going back to Detroit. F it, you know. And he was just like, all right, cool. We're going back to Detroit. I'm gonna make that call, and yeah. So that's how it all worked out. I didn't want to give nobody time to put out any more offers, anything like that, because at the end of the day, like I said, I knew where I wanted to be at. So.
You said you looked at, were you on FaceTime, or you just talking in person?
Well, he called me out my sleep. He woke me up like 7 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time. So, you know, I was just like, all right, well, I got up, and then when he went to tell me everything, I was just like, you know what, this is the move I'm gonna make. So, you know.
In your conversations with the Lions, why'd they say they want you back?
Yeah.
Why did they say that? Why'd they say?
Well, because I'm funny, first off. It's just my leadership, man, and they love what I bring, and you know, Basically, it's just the type of that player I am and the person I am. You know, like I said, I'm not afraid to be myself at any point, at any time. And, you know, like I said, I'm all about positive vibes. And, you know, I'm a hard worker. I know what I know when I'm, like I said, when I'm here, they know what they get. And I'm here all day, every day. We grinding. And I'm trying to help everybody get better. So that's why they wanted me back. And I'm glad to be back. So.
Yeah, Tracy, this goes back a little bit, but when you came into the league, you came into a room that was really some strong, veteran players, Quandre and Slay. I think Glover was here. How much of an impact did they make on you and as a young player to play the game the right way, prepare the right way and all that?
Well, those guys, of course, Slay, my cousin, Quandre, big head Quandre. Yeah, man, listen, those guys, I was the young pup, man, and they just felt like they could just bully me and try me like that. And, you know, I had to show them that I wasn't one of those simp people that you can just try to bully. And so it definitely, I definitely had to come in under a lot of circumstances, considering that I was Slay cousin and because of the clown he is. Yeah, pretty much I had a lot of big shoes to fill. And so, honestly, when I just came in, man, I just took it as just be yourself. People gonna love you, and I've always been like this. People love you for who you are, or they gonna hate you. And so, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of guys who loved me, and you know they embraced me for who I was, which was not somebody that take trash talking and take criticism from people. So, you know, take the good with the bad. Like I said, I appreciate those guys, Glover, Nino. Nino's Quandre, by the way, and Slay, man. I appreciate them because those guys taught me how to be a professional when I first got in the NFL. I didn't really understand how to, I guess, approach how being a pro, especially Glover. Glover definitely helped me. GQ helped me out a lot. GQ taught me the ropes and taught me how to see different aspects from the safety perspective, and he taught me the game from a different point of view. And so, yeah, I give shout out to those guys because, and, you know, those guys reached out and told me congrats, and they're happy for me. And so I appreciate them, man. Like I said, I appreciate everybody that helped me on through this path. So. No, he just said, good job, cuz, and go hit the head again. So, you know, that's what he said, and I'm just happy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Hey, thank y'all so much. I enjoy y'all day, all right?